Andy Tobler.
A federal grand jury has returned an indictment against former National Security Advisor John Bolton. We do know that this deals with allegedly mishandling classified documents. His own attorney, Abby Lowell, who famously represented Hunter Biden, Bill Clinton, Jared Kushner in the past, put out a statement a couple of weeks ago when news was swirling that this may be happening, admitting that Bolton did have classified documents in his possession, but said that those were pre-cleared for the publication of his book.
Well, there you go. John Bolton now, another Trump foe indicted. Those on the left say, oh, he's just weaponizing like the rest of them weaponizing. Bondi and Trump and others saying justice is justice.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, did you read some of the actual indictment or the court documents?
I read the story.
It was on, well, people started screenshotting it on Twitter, and he was basically like emailing people on his personal AOL account, classified information.
Well, he had a diary of things going on.
But he was
digital diaries of his activities.
And then he was emailing it to people.
Yeah, well, that's what the indictment says. But then there was a judge who said when he published his book that had some of the same stuff in it, it was a weird rationale. I mean, to paraphrase, the judge said that he'd done wrong, but to unpublish all that and go get all those books back would be impossible. I mean, it's crazy. So we'll have to see. Bolton kept and shared with family members, say prosecutors, digital diaries of his activities that include all kinds of classified information. And that could put not only our programs and our espionage activities, which are important in the intel foundations, of course, but also the people doing them. So I think that's the real concern here. More than 1,000 pages, of diary-like entries. Up to the top secret level, say prosecutors. What, 26 pages? Is that right? I mean, it's a long indictment. Like and 18 counts, I believe, of storing and sharing, of retaining and then sharing these things.
Apparently, at some point, he messaged his individuals. Remember unindicted co-conspirators? These are just individuals 1 and 2. But remember the Trump indictment, and they were all unindicted co-conspirators. Okay, individuals 1 and 2. He emailed to them messaged more stuff coming, and then shh, like SHHH exclamation.
Oh, man.
Like what?
Allegedly transmitted top secret information using personal on like an AOL account.
Yeah. And then Iranians hacked into it a few years later, is what they said.
Yeah. Wow, crazy. In the meantime, Donald Trump has a 2-hour phone call with Putin. Can you imagine Putin sort of like, oh, what is this, another rally? Eyes rolling. Here goes. And they're going to meet in Budapest after a meeting of their top advisors next week. And then Trump's optimistic that the following week he and Putin will meet. And then I heard that there may be some rumors that so will Zelensky in all of that mess. But we've had this dance before, too, sort of like phase 2 of a hostage release and then peace on earth, right? So I don't know. We'll have to see. He keeps knocking at the door. Putin keeps teasing and cracking the door open, but never opening it for a serious discussion to end the war in Ukraine.
I mean, Trump's
now the president's talking Tomahawk missiles and told Putin that, apparently, at least what he said in the presser.
Yeah, and Trump's riding high right now, and I think feels a lot of pressure and feels like now's a good time. The question is kind of the one we talked about with security expert Steve Bucci yesterday is, can you trust the bad guys? I mean, it seems like we can't trust Hamas. I mean, you kind of know that. But I guess how much can you trust the bad guys to hold up their end of the deal? And Putin is one of the ultimate bad guys.
Is there any less trustworthy group of people on the face of the planet than Hamas?
No. But Putin's like right up there, right? I mean,
Putin.
You got to wonder, too. This reminds me, we didn't get a chance to talk to Steve, but you think about, it's being reported that Hamas has executed, these militia members that were trying to gain the affections of the civilians as opposed to Hamas gaining, keeping their affection. And Hamas, with people that they claimed were more Israeli friendly and probably had, if it's true, we're going to have a decent chance maybe of putting together something that would be a different kind of a ruling structure in Gaza. You wonder, were we working behind the scenes? Were the Arab nations working behind the scenes? Are they working behind the scenes to come up with some kind of an insurgency from within? Is there a groundswell of popular opposition enough to if they had support, that they could say, nope, no more Hamas. We're done with having our whole community bombed to where it looks like Dresden, for crying out loud. We're done with you. But
this is the same deal with the Palestinian factions. I think the major media focuses so much on Hamas because they're the big one, the powerful one that was in power. There's like a dozen different Palestinian factions all competing and have been since Israeli independence.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, but you wonder, go back to the Green Revolution in Iran, when I think it's widely believed and I think objectively true that Barack Obama just didn't give enough support, covert, subversive, whatever kind of support you want to call it, support to the people there in Iran. The large mass of the population there doesn't like the theocracy that's in charge. And you wonder if we've been remiss in that realm, with some kind of an upsurge and different way forward for the Hamas people. I don't know. It's a crazy time. What are the chances that now with the threat of Tomahawk missiles that Putin's going to actually come to the table with a serious negotiation? What do you think?
Little or none.
Yeah, I mean, he's winning. Even if we come in with Tomahawk missiles, he's gained a lot. What does he have to lose, I guess? And he doesn't really care about his people. I mean, look at what's already gone on.
Well, it's true. He doesn't care about those.
Doesn't want to go to war with NATO, particularly.
That's the thing. I mean, he's winning territory, taking back some that he had taken originally. Then it was regained by Ukraine, some of that. And he's, it's a war of attrition, and he's got a lot more to attrit than Zelensky does. That's a new word. He can attrit more. Drake?
Okay.
Friday grammar lesson from Randy.
It is Feel Good Friday.
It is Feel Good Friday. And I actually have a really funny story about the John Bolton thing.
Yeah.
So I was on the phone with my grandpa last night, and I was telling him about this.
Okay.
I was saying that, but I got the names mixed up. I said Nick Bolton. And so my grandpa thought that the linebacker for the Chiefs was getting, charged with treason or whatever I said.
Oh, my gosh.
On the phone for about 30 minutes.
Like on the Espionage Act. It's Nick Bolton.
It's Nick Bolton.
That's good.
Who are the Chiefs playing this week? Who are they playing? They're playing not a very first top-tier team, right?
You said that about Jacksonville.
Yeah, Vegas and the Raiders.
That's right. It's the Vegas Raiders. And then the Tigers.
Down at Auburn.
Wow.
The unfriendly confines of Brian Hauswirth likes to pronounce it, Jordan Har.
Wow. And we never did. I was remiss. What happened to the Tigers in their ranking after their close, but not quite defeat?
Associated Press has Tigers the Sporting ranked at 16th.
Oh, okay. So they didn't really drop
fall out
tremendously.
Of the top 20,
Isn't that
What's
crazy?
the line on the game?
It's like Mizzou minus 1.5.
Is that what it is?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It started as Auburn as the favorites.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 points middle of the week.
So while we have a battle going on, with the Tigers and Auburn and the Raiders and the Chiefs, we'll be having some civilian peaceful protests all around the land, according to reports.
No Kings return.
The No Kings return.
Could be a rainy one at the state capitol. They want to do that tomorrow.
Wouldn't that be a shame? It'd just break my heart if that happened.
Isn't there some severe weather in the forecast?
I think so.
Not for us, potentially, though, for Springfield, Southwest Missouri, potential for that. But at last check, they weren't saying much of a chance for that for middle to northern Missouri.
I don't wish our Springfield listeners any ill weather, just enough to dampen the No Kings protests. That's all we want.
There
just
you go.
Enough. So it's going to rain. Yeah, I better get out and mow the grass today. I got to do that.
Now would be a bad idea. It's supposed to hit late tonight.
Now that it's chilling up again, that the cool season grass is growing rapidly again. I sort of liked the drought for a while. It gave me a little respite from the every 3 days mowing that was going on during the rainy time. We're going to talk with Tony Lupo and talk with him about, I don't know if he'll give an
he may have an update on tonight and tomorrow's weather.
Yeah, right, about that. And also a little preview of the winter weather. Now, we're going to have to ask Drake to go back and find out one of our last Tony Lupo appearances. I know I asked asked Tony back in the late winter, early spring about the prediction for the summer, and I don't remember quite whether he said it was going to be wet or dry. It was a little bit of both.
I think he said it was a La Nina year, and it was going to track along pretty much like it tracked along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if anyone expected the drought, though. Well, that was crazy. And it didn't.
Ask Tony.
Yeah, I know it's hurt some of the yield, I think, on the... Is it the beans? I think the beans have suffered a little bit because of the drought, and maybe not the corn so much. But harvest is underway. I'm getting all kind of patients coming in with allergies because of all the harvest dust around.
Mine has been so bad, so bad.
And so if you're out there, I one guy, he listens to the show, is hilarious. I said, this is one place where masks actually do work. He said, no, please.
Yeah.
I know it's true.
So does Zyrtec.
No, yeah, well, but if you reduce your exposure to the allergen, so you wear a nice mask, like a painter's mask, when you're out in the stuff, and then you do a little nasal irrigation to get them rinsed out of your nasal passages when you come in.
You
that can help.
use the appropriate word.
Nasal irrigation, nasal flushing. If you do that, then it's a good thing. Then I think you'll reduce your chances. There's some other tricks up my sleeve, too. All right, we're going to break down those football games at 6:35, too.
And also
at get Hauswirth in here.
Well, and also maybe at 6:35, I have a surprise for you.
Oh, really? You do? Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't wait. And I don't know, Drake's got some new camera angles up here. I look like a Lilliputian.
And if you're not normally tuned into the Facebook video and YouTube feed, you're going to want to do that at 6:35.
Facebook and YouTube.
It's really important.
Make sure you do that. On Wake Up Missouri, and stay in touch with us on the text line, 573-874-9390. Be back in a minute with the Daily DC Rundown.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
If you're going to prosecute a case, you should prosecute the president. But you're too afraid, you're too...
That's Jay Jones. Here's Stephanie Bell with the Daily DC Rundown.
Those Virginia elections are heating up, and there's some new polling out, and I think we're going to cover that a little bit later, not only with respect to what's going on in Virginia, but also New Jersey. They have elections, I think that's, November 4th,
Yep.
and then some interesting new shifts in prediction markets as far as the midterms go. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Of course, we talked already this morning about John Bolton being indicted yesterday. Also, we learned yesterday, we talked a little bit about Pritzker yesterday, Randy. Apparently, I didn't know they were like avid gamblers. Did you see this?
I didn't know that.
He had, I think it was on his wife's financial report, but apparently he won $1.4 million in gambling on blackjack in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And had to report that. Once it became public, he decided he was going to announce he's donating the winnings to charity. But folks are saying, a casual gambler doesn't win $1.4 million
Wow.
on
That's quite the card counter there.
And
Yeah,
I think
man.
he said something like, I got lucky in Las Vegas. It was
right.
So, all right. Trump says he's going to meet with Putin in Hungary. They are going to talk about these Tomahawk missiles, which Trump has threatened to send to Ukraine. The Tomahawk missiles would allow Ukraine to reach much further into Russia, including to Moscow, which people think perhaps will bring Putin to the table. I think the folks on this show are pretty skeptical, as we've talked about this morning. We also are learning, we've been keeping our eyes on Trump's eighth peace deal, and how he would respond to what Hamas is doing. He had posted on Truth Social, apparently, that he would have no choice but to use lethal force, but later is kind of clarifying and says he doesn't plan to send U.S. troops into Gaza to fight Hamas if they continue on this same path. We also got word yesterday, we haven't talked too much about this H-1B work visa, where they were going to raise the fee up to $100,000. Yesterday, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce sued the Trump administration over this rising cost and said it exceeds his authority. We've heard that before.
They're saying that those fees are meant to cover the administrative costs, and now they're just fleecing these people.
That's right. Well, we are also watching the government shutdown. We are on day 17. You know, I was supposed to go to D.C. next month, early next month, and I'm wondering, am I going to be there? I think I'm thinking it's going to still be going on.
You won't have to wait in line at the restaurants.
Or maybe I will because no one's at work.
Well, that's true. I thought they would go home though. Well, you're right. Maybe the locals.
all the folks who work there are going to be there.
But they're not getting paid.
Well, you know.
They know they will. Just put it on credit.
Exactly. I think that's what you're seeing. We are getting some data out about Missouri. I was looking at this chart this morning from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The federal workforce in Missouri represents only about 2% of our overall non-farm labor force. It was a really unhelpful chart in that it wasn't in any order, but I was trying to look at some of the other states. It seems like a lot of states that's pretty low. A lot of states sit at like 3 or 4, and some states like Hawaii, Alaska, obviously Virginia, DC are much higher than that. So perhaps Missouri's feeling that government shutdown on our federal workers a little bit less than others. We are also we talked earlier this week about how Trump's 25% tariff on furniture and kitchen cabinets and vanities went into effect this week. We got an announcement yesterday that your favorite IKEA is going to have to start raising their prices. This is in part due to inflation. Customers aren't making super big purchases, and then also they source only about 15% of their products in the U.S.
Ouch. And
so they are getting hit pretty hard with the tariffs.
Wow. So you better sell your Allen wrench stock.
How many of those do you have laying around?
Oh my
your house?
gosh, I don't know.
I think I have buckets of them. All right. Also, in other economic news, we got an announcement yesterday that Nestle is cutting 16,000 jobs as part of their turnaround effort. Randy, we talked about the article you had found that had the Ford execs going over to China and seeing all of their robotics and said there's not even any people in these manufacturing plants. And Nestle saying that they are getting this pressure, and then they're also going to move toward automation.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of these are white-collar jobs, so that's the AI part of that. And then you put in the robotic on the floor of the plant.
They're simplifying their organization and automating their processes.
Jump on YouTube and Facebook. Surprise coming up. I don't know what it is.
I think just local news is like the most important stuff to me, even though it's kind of like bad stuff going on around me, but it's the most relevant to me.
NR joins us at 7:08.
Correct.
At 7:35, we talk with Tony Lupo, meteorologist extraordinaire and weather scientist, about some recap of what happened over the summer, but also a little prediction for not only this weekend, but what's coming up on the winter. Do you need to buy some snow chains or not? I mean, do you need to buy an extra down-filled parka? Who knows? Or can you just put on your windbreaker? I don't know.
I will tell you that we had a brutal winter the last winter. It was brutal.
Pretty bad.
I think 7 nights I had to stay at the hotel next door.
It
was from the beginning of the
across the parking lot,
hanging out at the motel.
Including the night the Cincinnati Bengals played the Bengals played the Chiefs. I think we were over there.
Yeah.
Several people.
Well, real quick, I have a surprise for Randy because yesterday we had a brief conversation, and Randy really sounded like he was feeling left out.
Yeah.
He said, women have all these options with their hair, so...
All guys have are ugly toupees, right? And they're wearing a toupee. What do you have?
Women have toupees now, too.
Oh, look.
Wow.
Look here. Oh, we got... wait a minute. We got extensions? Oh, look at this.
That's awesome.
Oh, this is beautiful. Look at this. Oh, baby. Oh, look at this. Whoa. Look at this.
Whoa, looks like Billy Ray Cyrus.
Just give me a guitar. I just want a guitar.
Steph's got to get a picture of that. You actually look like you could go undercover right now. So. That is awesome.
I mean, like Wayne's World.
Exactly.
Oh, wait, we're doing it on Drake, too. They got some extensions going on here. What do you think? What do you think,
Boy,
John?
I think you're kind of cloning some of the unhoused folks downtown.
That's interesting.
Oh, look, Drake. Oh, I love it. Okay, now these are some serious extensions. Why?
That is awesome.
All right,
Stephanie, great work.
Now we're going to try to have a serious show here.
Why'd you give me a bob, Stephanie?
Drake, all you need are some hormones, buddy. Don't show up in the ladies' locker room.
I mean, mullets are making a comeback. We're about to talk some football. You look like a guy who likes to watch football.
That is awesome.
Is it sort of Kid Rockish? Maybe a little bit?
It looks good. It looks good. I'm just...
We gotta get a picture of this.
You definitely will. If I didn't know that Stephanie had given it looks like it's your hair. It does.
It's real hair.
It really is.
No, it does look... Randy, yours looks amazing. You want to go to the dispensary with me later today?
That is awesome.
All right, it's a Feel Good Friday. I don't know how good I'm feeling, but I'm glad everyone else is feeling good about this. Are the Tigers going to feel good after the game against Auburn?
Obviously the loss that's a great question. The loss last week was it was a heartbreaking loss because Alabama was a top 10 team. It was a chance to really, they were so close. The offensive line to me has to step up. They did it. They've got a great team, Mizzou, but they were letting Alabama in that backfield too much. I think this is not an easy game. It's at Jordan-Hare, Randy. Jordan-Hare on the Plains at Auburn, very loud. And what the fans of watch the game tomorrow, Tom Hart will have the call on the SEC Network, Rockbridge graduate. You're going to notice light shows, laser shows. There's a lot of... It is incredibly loud. I can't emphasize enough. I'm sure they're practicing right now trying to figure out how loud it's going to be. But the biggest thing that they have on that team, Auburn, is their offensive line. They have Eli Drinkwitz says they have 5 NFL guys that are on the line. 2 of them will probably go in the first round, but all 5 will play in the league. Their offensive line is combined for 294 career games played, 169 games started.
Oh, boy.
With Jackson Arnold, their quarterback, this is going to be not an easy game because he's phenomenal, and that line is, it might be one of the best offensive lines in the country. It is.
And War Eagle is tough at home year in and year out, aren't they, Brian?
Yeah, exactly. And Mizzou had a chance a couple of years ago to win, and Nate Knoll, the running back from Rockbridge, he was trying to stretch the ball out, and it was a freak thing. And again, Mizzou probably should have won, but just a tough break. Always hard to beat him down there. Great coach, very underrated in Hugh Freeze, too. I know he's on the hot seat, but he's a fine coach.
How's their D-line and linebackers versus Hardy running back?
Well, in terms of their defensive coordinator is DJ Durkin, and he is, Eli Drinkwitz pointed out on Tiger Talk, Durkin is fantastic and does a great job. Hardy's, in terms of the run, in terms of numbers, their defense has held the opponent under 100 yards rushing in 4 of 6 games this season. 10 of 18 under Durkin. And what they do is they fly to the football. They're aggressive. They fly to the football. They're going to focus on Hardy. So I'm sure that Kirby Moore and Drinkwitz have tried to come up with a game plan here, maybe to get some other people the ball, but some other guys beside Amont have to step up as well. That said, I think if Mizzou plays their game, they have an excellent chance, but the noise factor, remember, 6 home games, then there was a bye in there too. You haven't been on the road. What a place to start on the road in terms of noise, and they're just not going to be used to that. The first road game, October the 18th. That's pretty late.
And
what about this? What's his name? Brian, the safety champ, Anthony. Is that it? I think he's gotten some big awards already.
Yeah, he's an excellent. The whole team is, and they got Singleton as well. The whole team is loaded, but the coordinator really gets that started with Durkin. Randy, you were saying something.
Well, Prabula, I think, has had moments when he looks a little bit shaken when he gets under pressure. So I'm wondering, with all the noise and all of that, it's going to be a real test of his maturity as a quarterback, to see. Yeah. So you never know. The guy might come through. And since they've got Hardy, who's a pretty good secret weapon running back, they can maybe, if he has a good game, you never know, right? They hold the ball longer.
That's
Don't
right.
give it back to Auburn.
That's right.
Maybe some short passes, do some like the Chiefs did last week, just keep the ball right there in that zone right behind the line. I don't know. We'll see. I wonder if Coach Drinkwitz, if you want to give me a call, I have a nice game plan for you.
He's been known to listen.
The hair. I mean,
the one thing too. But no, he's been known to listen. If he wants to call in, he's certainly welcome.
How about the Chiefs now? Let's go to the Chiefs. We have just a little bit of time here to talk about them. They're playing the Raiders. What are the Raiders? What's their record?
I think they are 1-4. But throw that out the window. That doesn't matter. This is a feared team, and also it's a big matchup. 2 teams that hate each other. It's the noon game on CBS. So it's a noon game on Sunday. They don't play very often. The Chiefs at noon. Jim Nance and Tony Romo are covering the game. That tells me that CBS believes it's going to be a big game because one team is 1-4, the other is 3-3. Chiefs should have the edge, but the fact they're sending Nance, Romo, and Tracy Wolfson to cover this is a big deal.
Are the Chiefs going to need to run the table the rest of the year to be a contender in the playoffs and beyond?
I think that in terms of winning the division, maybe not, but in terms of you want home field advantage, they're going to have to step it up.
They can't afford any more losses.
No.
Raiders QB, what's his name, Geno Smith. He's like leading the league in interceptions.
Oh, really?
So
okay.
Hope that continues Sunday.
We go back to making pizza rolls.
Well, Geno Smith, of course, West Virginia. He has talent, though. He has talent.
Oh, okay.
I want to go back to the Missouri game. I think an important detail that you're leaving out is that we have beat Jackson Arnold last year with a worse team. Jackson Arnold played for Oklahoma last year. Mm-hmm. He transferred. That was a really fun game if you watched it. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that Hugh Freeze is that good of a coach. I'm going to be quite honest. I mean, he does not know how to go into the second half without turning everything around. You saw it last week with Georgia. There was that bad call where somehow the refs got it wrong for both teams. But anyways, I mean, he wears his emotions on his sleeve. He just doesn't know how to bounce back from that. He gets very discouraged. And I think this is the game that he lays down and dies and just doesn't win out for the rest of the season.
And it is possible. I will tell you that Hugh Freeze did beat Nick Saban twice when he was at Ole Miss when they were in their heyday, 2014 and 15. That was the only loss Alabama had in 2015 when they actually won the national championship. But Hugh Freeze, they have 3 losses, 3 top 10 teams. You're right, Drake, about Jackson Arnold. Mizzou did beat them when they were at Oklahoma, but Coach Drinkwitz actually addressed this issue on Tiger Talk, and he said that was a different system. These are much better players, much better offensive line, and he said the biggest thing, he said this on Tiger Talk to Mike Kelly on KTGR the other night, he said their confidence level is amazing, and the biggest stat about Jackson Arnold hasn't thrown an interception in 319 pass attempts. So Mizzou defense, if you're listening, got a chance to do this. But this guy is very confident. It's a much better. Remember, And you're right. They did beat him, but that was an offensive line that was very iffy. This is they have 5 NFL guys that are on that offensive line.
You have to watch out for any guy that has 2 first names.
Jackson Arnold,
Yeah.
He's a good quarterback. But the noise is the biggest factor. And then there's one other thing we should point out if you're a casual fan, maybe like a Stephanie Bell. There actually isn't.
That's fair. That's fair.
She's hurting me here with the long hair thing. Oh, good.
But it's all good because Stephanie, I think the more sidebar stories is what she's interested in, and I think that's good because a lot of people don't necessarily like the X's and O's. And for people that are watching the game, they actually have an eagle that comes. They put the eagle flies up in the air. This is a huge bird, by the way. And
I'll be the eagle.
Exactly. That bird comes down. And Chanel, I don't know if people remember Chanel Porter. She used to work at Channel 17. Great young lady, great news person, sports as well. She's in Carolina. She went down and did a feature on that bird a couple of years ago when Mizzou played there. And I couldn't believe that bird came down and landed right there. I mean, the bird could fly off, but it is amazing, the light show and then the war eagle coming down.
Now, you mentioned the noise at Auburn, and I know I've seen a lot of chatter on Twitter with the new project in the North End Zone saying even without the fans over there yet, just with the wall of construction, that people have noticed the Mizzou Stadium is louder than ever before. And now, once we fill it with people, like, do you think people are, in other places are going to be talking about the noise at Furrow, like when in the future?
I do, Steph. I think they're doing it now with the construction project, and that's kind of a weird thing because of the sound barrier and stuff and the walls and stuff, but I see that happening. The key is to keep selling out. But the noise tomorrow night will be deafening, no doubt.
It's going to be a good game. We'll watch it.
Thanks, guys.
So thank you, Brian Hauswirth. Now, for those of you who are just tuning in on our Wake Up Missouri
on the Joe Dirt
YouTube
episode.
and Facebook page, Stephanie was having some fun, put a little hair extensions on Randy. Kid Rock got nothing on me. I'm telling you. And then I'm a little worried about Drake. He's twirling his hair. It's a little looking
You're
too
going
good
to have
there.
to switch from the trombone to like the bass guitar or something.
I wonder if that hair came from the Independence Hair Museum that's closing. That's what I want.
It's going to go to the museum after Randy wears it.
If you're the 1 in 10 couples who have problems with infertility, you may want to listen up because Donald Trump and the administration came up with some things to make it more affordable, potentially make it more accessible. Let's have more babies. Make Missouri pregnant again when we come back.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
At least 11% of females that are facing these challenges as they work to build their family. The recommendations today that President Trump has set forth are going to expand IVF coverage to nearly 1 million more families, and they're going to drive down cost significantly. Mr. President, this is the most pro-IVF thing that any president in the history of the United States of America has done.
Well, that was Senator Katie Britt in a ceremony yesterday at the White House, wherein to follow up on his executive order shortly after inauguration to expand infertility services to perhaps we should call them fertility services for infertile couples. Now this is some of the follow through on that. This is now the third drug company that has agreed to reduce this. In this case, it's a subsidiary of Merck named Serono. They're big in the fertility space. They have three drugs that are really pivotal in these stimulating egg cycles. And then when the eggs are harvested, then they're mixed in the test tube and hatched and then put back in mama. That's a brief thumbnail sketch of in vitro fertilization. Only about 1 in 6, give or take, couples seek IVF, get IVF, and he wants to make sure it's more and that there's more access. Only a third of employers offer fertility benefits. They want to make this as sort of a bolt-on, add-on, opt-in kind of a thing that you could maybe opt into, like dental or eye insurance, optical insurance, if your employer wants to do it. It's not a mandate, but it's an option, again, as part of the executive policy order released yesterday. And it's going to make these medications much more affordable. An infertility cycle involving IVF can be between $12,000 and $20,000, just rough numbers. Now, some places offer a package deal where, hey, for name the number, $18,000, you can have up to 3 cycles, $20,000, up to 3 cycles. If we get you pregnant the first cycle, we win. If it takes 3 cycles, we probably lose money-wise. You know what I mean? So they make it to where you at least have a fixed, sort of like a 30-year mortgage versus an adjustable rate. But it's very expensive, and about 20 to 25% of the cost of those cycles are the meds. They're very, very expensive. Under this new program, EMD Serono is going to discount up to 84% on some of these key IVF drugs like Gonal F and the one that is triggering the ovulation called Cetratide. There's another one called Avidrel that blocks premature release of the egg. But look, there's 3 pivotal drugs which they're going to bring the price down to, and it's going to be through, are you ready? Trump RX. So you get that portal called Trump RX, and you can then get on there, and I guess that'll be then a direct pipeline to the company, so you're buying directly. And it's speculated this might help up to 1 million couples. I think one of the unknowns here is they said up to 84% discount on the main drug, the one that stimulates the ovaries to make a lot of eggs. And it sounds like this is going to be means tested, like based on income, you'll get a sliding scale discount. I think all of those details are yet to be worked out. But this will support family building and the U.S. infertility couples who really don't always have that option, even though they would like it. You know, maybe mom's had a congenital problem doesn't have tubes or had tubes blocked or, other things happen. Now, in some states, I know in Illinois, they mandate infertility coverage under most circumstances if IVF is required. Whether or not it becomes sort of a national mandate or not, I don't know. But I like it. It's good. It's expanding options, making it more affordable, and making the regulatory environment for employers a little more lenient so that they can offer this as a benefit if they want. Only about a third of American employers offer fertility benefits now.
Yeah, and I think just having the discussion. I mean, I went through a period where, I was having babies. A lot of my friends are having babies, but everyone, even some people who had, success early or whatever, like a lot of my friends dealt with infertility, and it is tough on mom and dad and families, and it is, I mean, getting more ways to help folks is really important.
Secondary mental health problems around infertility are a real thing. Yeah, it really is. It's tough. Well, that's Make Missouri Pregnant Again for this morning. Back with Kurt Schaefer, DNR, in a minute.
is put export controls now on. You know about the rare earths and the manganes, but it's also on other critical minerals like gallium and antimony, which were very important in production process. So it's very clear we're in a new world where these kinds of actions by China, by Russia, which is playing around with our uranium stock, and other nations could hurt us. So we've got to prepare.
Well, that's Peter Navarro, counselor to the president, talking about this export control and choking the supply of these critical minerals to America and the rest of the world by China. Joining us now, director of the Department of Natural Resources in Missouri, Kurt Schaefer. And Kurt, I didn't know it till I saw on your website, dnr.mo.gov, that, hey, we've got a card in this game, don't we?
We absolutely. We have a very good hand in this game. Good morning. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, except for the hair extensions that Stephanie insisted I wear this morning. But other than that, we're doing good. But we're glad you're with us. I'm
actually down in Perryville, so I did not hear the show earlier. So you were talking about hair extensions.
That's down in the Lead Belt, isn't it? In that sort of Lead Belt area, a little south of Lead Belt? Yeah.
No, it's about where it starts. Yeah. Which fits right in with what we're going to discuss, because obviously critical minerals is the piece you just played. They're extremely important. What most people don't realize is Missouri is a top state for critical minerals. There are 50 critical minerals. USGS, U.S. Geological Survey, is the entity in the United States that establishes what those are, and there's 50 of them. And Missouri has 30 economically viable critical minerals of those 50. Which is really more than, I think, any other state. The interesting thing is they're actually adding 6 more right now, and of those 6 they're adding, 3 of them, one of them's lead, Missouri has even more of. We have the largest lead vein in the United States in the Viburnum Trend, which runs through multiple counties in southeast Missouri. So the interesting thing is the piece you just played. What's really happened over the last several decades is the United States, when we dig up things like galena, which is the ore in Missouri that we have a lot of, that is mostly used to extract lead from, that's been sent to China for processing. And what happens is, China processes that, they send us back a finished lead product, but also there are all kinds of other critical minerals in that ore. There's things like nickel, there's copper, there's cobalt. There's a lot of other things that are extremely important to our economy today, but China generally just keeps those things. Well, what we're really realizing now is we put ourselves in a position where we no longer control the flow of those materials, and they are critical to everything from your laptop computer to your phone to national security, to electric vehicles, to anything essentially that uses conductivity and electricity in a way now that has to be much more efficient and smaller than it used to be, requires critical minerals.
Now, you mentioned the processing, but my understanding of the critical minerals in the U.S. generally is we also have issues with extracting. So are we in a position to capitalize on all these critical minerals we have?
Yeah, so there's 2 parts to that. One is, obviously, Missouri was a state that produced a lot of lead over 200 years. And, so now we have some historical lead sites that EPA has put restrictions on. In fact, we have one area in southeast Missouri which it encompasses 4 counties, which are extremely limited in what can be done in terms of extraction. And one of those, for example, St. Francis County, St. Francis County is, it's 452 square miles. That's how large it is. That's 6.5 times the size of Delaware, yet the entire county is listed by EPA as a CERCLA site, also known as CERCLA is the Comprehensive Environmental Liability Act. It's the one where if there's contamination, EPA comes in and puts a lot of restrictions on things. But really, there wasn't lead mining in the entire county, but there is lead in the county because it has a massive lead vein that runs underneath it. And so what was really done in the past by EPA was there was no real distinction between, lead in the environment that is naturally occurring and has been for eons, and lead that is in the environment because of human activity. There's actually a really interesting 19th century painting in our Missouri capital of people in that area of the state picking up lead off the ground, because that's how much lead was in those areas. And it's certainly something that has to be dealt with, but those same areas that contain lead are the same areas that contain all the other critical minerals. And earlier this year, China refused to send any critical minerals back to the United States. They changed that a couple months ago and said they'd send some, but they would not send any that had military application. Things like germanium and minerals like that we have here in Missouri that are necessary for fiber optic cables and a lot of other things. So really, what we've got right now essentially in Missouri is, we've got some lead issues in Missouri that were always treated more as a local or regional issue, but now we find ourselves in a position of a national security issue, which we are definitely part of. And so how we put those things together and make sure that we're protecting human health and the environment, but also making sure that we have sufficient national security, supplying our military with things that they need in terms of critical minerals, that's where we find ourselves right now.
DNR Director Kurt Schaefer joins us on Wake Up Missouri. Kurt, I think it's not lost on anyone that whether it's nuclear power, and I'm speculating maybe in terms of getting these things out of the ground, processed to the manufacturing facility for your favorite, material bomb maker in America or cell phone maker, the regulatory environment can be stifling. Have you heard, is the government, I know the administration has talked publicly about trying to really fast track the extraction and processing and getting these minerals so that we can thumb our nose at China. What do you know about that?
Well, President Trump, on the very first day in office, two of the executive orders that he issued, one was declaring a national energy emergency. The other was called Unleashing American Energy. Both of those executive orders call for the immediate development of critical minerals, as well as other issues related to energy. And that's what we've been trying to do here in Missouri. I will say that Missouri's ready to go on these things, ready to do our part for national security and make sure that we're providing economic opportunities for really what are some of the poorest counties in the state where these minerals are. The federal government, I would say, politely, is not moving as quickly as we are. And we've had a lot of discussions. The governor has, I have. That's what we're working on.
So do we need to appeal to our congressional delegation to have a meeting with Lee Zeldin and, maybe have a little summit and get things moving?
I would say Lee Zeldin, he's the EPA administrator that came in earlier this year. I'd say he's very aware of this circumstance. And, I think our legislators are as well. EPA is just it's a hard ship to turn.
Okay.
So, but, the other issue is, the extraction, and we do still mine some lead here in Missouri, so there is extraction. The issue, the harder issue of this is the processing, because essentially the type of processing that was done, really up until the late 60s, early 70s was pretty nasty, involved a lot of chemicals. It did cause a fair amount of pollution that has been dealt with here in Missouri. And so what happened was all that raw ore was shipped to China, as it was from most countries. China processes over 90% of all the ore that comes out of not only Missouri, but the United States. And so that's why they control all of this. What we need to do is develop, and many companies have developed and already have cleaner processing methods that can be employed. They simply have not been approved by the federal government yet.
Kurt, outside of the discussion about the rare earth minerals, our own Mike Murphy the other afternoon had your former employer, Richard King, on talking about the Cooper's Landing project, and something Richard hit on was his challenge over having bathrooms that are up to par. Is this something you'll be able to fast track for Richard?
Well, it's kind of, really that's more, those sanitation issues like that are really done on the local level. So, for example, Cooper's Landing, that would be out in the county, so that would be subject to county regulations. But remember, those county regulations are in place because they're required by the state for sanitation and clean water purposes, and the state requires them because federal law requires us to do that. So there's kind of a chain that goes all the way down. But I have seen the plans that Richard's got out there for the new Cooper's Landing, and I think it's really exciting. I think it's going to be a great facility, a great recreational opportunity for people in Missouri, especially in Boone County.
So what you're telling us is it all runs downhill, right, Kurt?
It does, and many of us, I've been in Boone County a long time, and many of us remember what that used to look like out there, and Richard's done a fantastic job really changing it to be much more environmentally sensitive, let's put it that way.
Now, something that is within your purview that we've been following is the letter that you initially sent to the city of Columbia about some DNR issues, their homelessness issues. Has there been any movement there?
I have had some discussion with Kip Kendrick at the county. I don't believe we've heard anything from the city yet. But, the interesting thing about that, and, what you're talking about is essentially the homeless encampments around Columbia, most of which are along water bodies like the Hinkson or Bonfim, which are impaired waters, which under the Federal Clean Water Act, Missouri was required to designate streams and lakes and other water bodies in the state that were not as clean as they're supposed to be. And there's a standard for that. And those are called impaired waters. And essentially what it means is the permits and things that you allow along those water bodies have to be ratcheted down and are more strict than in other places because the water quality is not where it should be. Both Bonfim and the Hinkson are both impaired waters under the Clean Water Act. So they do require more stringent things. But even aside from that, doing things, allowing, human waste, trash, other things that are a sanitation, a human health issue, as well as just an environmental issue overall. Those things aren't allowed on any water body really anywhere in the United States anymore. And so a good example would be both, the city and the county have had ordinances for years that prohibit landowners from doing various things along the riparian waterways, which is just the land along the water. They can't have permanent structures. They can't have septic systems. Well, there's a reason they can't have septic systems because sometimes septic systems leak. Yet when you think about, you've got 40, 50 people living out along, the Hinkson with no sanitation whatsoever, you obviously know, as you just said, everything runs downhill. And so many of the things that are occurring in Columbia and Boone County are already violations of existing ordinances. What we would like them to do is, number one, enforce those, and number two, put some additional language in their ordinances to make it perfectly clear that those things are not allowed. And then ultimately, the city and the county will be held responsible if those things are not enforced.
Well, Kurt Schaefer always just loaded with information and so well informed and says it so clearly for us. Boy, it's really great news about the critical minerals. And I guess we can say, Kurt, that you have more than 2 oars in the water at all times, moving the ship forward.
That's right.
We thank you, Kurt. Appreciate you.
30 of those oars. That's right.
Appreciate you being with us. Thanks for the good news.
Yeah. Good morning. Thanks a lot.
All right. Take care. Here he is, Kurt Schaefer. That's good. I didn't know we had all those critical mineral capacities.
Yeah. If you want to know more, if you just Google critical minerals, Missouri DNR, they've got a good website that shows you where they are and which ones are where.
And if you have a hard time Googling, Stephanie has a website for you.
I do.
Let me Google that.com. Hey, patriotism and expressions of faith are breaking out all over America. We'll talk about where it happened last night, courtesy of TP USA.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Well, that was a Turning Point USA event last night, on the night that Charlie Kirk was supposed to hold one, and a debate, of course, before that. 6,000 students arrived and took part in that big event at the University of Oklahoma last evening. And, boy, these things keep rolling on. I think all of us were watching and keep watching, anxious, but also very optimistic. And now I think encouraged that these events continue to just draw massive crowds. The kids there are also usually of faith. They talk about their faith, their patriotism, and those values that Charlie Kirk espoused. And John, there was supposed to be a rally here, wasn't there, in Missouri, at Mizzou, I believe. And I don't know. I'd sure like to see that happen. Stephanie, I know we talked about that, didn't we? They were talking about.
Yeah, I think that was the plan.
Yeah. So maybe one will happen at Mizzou, or maybe at Missouri State. Wouldn't it be great to see something like that materialize in that? Maybe Drake, you can connect with the leader of the TPUSA page that we had on. Get something going, man. That'd be fun. I'd love to talk about that on the air.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
I need to email her and see if that's in the works. I mean, it seems like they are. You see them around campuses everywhere, and I know this. They had, they've really had a surge at the local chapter. I've got to learn more. I know there's one at Missouri State as well. We've got to see how they're doing and encourage them. So if any of you know any of the leaders in the Turning Point USA chapters, please contact them and encourage them to have an event. I think it'd be great. It'd be really good. It's good to see. And it goes along with the revival movement we see among youth in America. Interestingly, a lot of the youth that are returning to faith, the Catholic Church especially is experiencing a lot of this. Remember, we talked with the guy from Des Moines who was like involved in development of enrollment in the church, if you will, and membership. And remember, John, he said that the youth they want structure. They rather than sort of the more informal atmospheres, they're returning to the liturgical style of worship, which is very interesting to me. Is that just the recognition that maybe there's chaos with social media and all the distraction and a little
Drake's addressed this before.
Yeah. Drake, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the guy that you had on is my uncle, so yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I've had a lot of conversations with him, and he is just a great guy, and I think he does have a point.
Yeah.
Especially with social media being able to, it's just chaos right now with the world and all the political stuff. It seems like it's chaotic. You never know what's going to happen the next day. You don't know what your future is going to be, and you'd rather have a structured system to be a part of.
We should touch base with him again and see. It's been, 8 months? I don't know. It's been a while.
I don't know if I can book him. He's pretty busy.
He's your uncle. You don't know if you can book him. Producer Drake doesn't know if he can book his uncle. Put the wig back on.
Yeah, tell him you're somebody else.
When we come back, we talk with Tony Lupo and see what's going on in the weather this weekend across Missouri and for the winter. Stay tuned.
Has America been fair to Donald Trump?
Well, look who called us. Tony Lupo, our good friend, who is just ahead of a class I want to audit. What's the class you're going to teach in weather science, Tony? Coming up at 8 o'clock?
Yes, at 8. Good to be with you guys this morning, Randy.
Yeah.
And yes, at 8 o'clock, I'll be teaching atmospheric thermodynamics. And you could kind of call it what makes the atmosphere tick.
Man, I would love to take that. Can I just audit that course? Would Moon Choi just let me sit in so I could nerd out on that? I'd love it. It'd be fun.
Well, that's up to us, and I don't mind anybody sitting in on my classes. So
I wouldn't want to take your test, though. According to online reviews, man, ooh, it's rough. Oh boy. I mean, Tony's tests are apparently worse than a tsunami. I'm not sure. Hey, let's get to some weather stuff, and we do want to talk a little bit about. We've got this chili supper coming up Tuesday at for the Boone County Republicans too. But tell us about the weather this weekend, because that proximate threat suddenly is on our radar. What's up?
Yes, yeah. This weekend we'll see some rain, and that's good because we really need it. And we have a very strong cold front lined up just to our west. And tonight, if you're going toward the Kansas City area, you may run into some rough weather. The main threat is high winds and maybe a little hail. Not much of a tornado threat. But tomorrow, if you're going east and south of here, then you're going to also run into some severe weather, especially in the afternoon. I think the timing is going to have Boone County not see a huge severe weather threat, but you always have to be alert.
How about in the Springfield area for our Springfield listeners?
Well, for our Springfield listeners, too, the same thing, more to the west tonight, so they might see a little bit of action tonight, but by tomorrow morning they should be clear.
In the medium term, for our farmers who are still involved in the harvest, I mean, it's been, well, I guess that's the one blessing about the dry. Maybe they don't have to worry about the harvest while it's dry, but now will they have some drying up over the next few weeks to complete things?
Oh, absolutely. Once this rain gets through, it's going to stay sunny again, but on the cooler side. And so we won't have these summer-like temperatures around, just a little cooler, more seasonable weather.
That means the mice will be coming in. I'll have to call Steve's and get them out there and do their micing for me. Yeah. All right, so let's review what happened over the summer. You talked about La Nina. And it was a wet, early summer, and then all of a sudden, just the spigot turned off, much to the chagrin of our farmers and everyone. I saw on Kurt Schaefer on the dnr.mo.gov website that still, maybe that'll change tonight and tomorrow, but still 98% of Missouri is still considered under dry weather conditions. It's amazing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And again, what happened is last year's La Nina began to fade. And when that happens, you typically see a wetter summer. And that's what we saw at the start. June and July were very wet, especially June. And then August, things shut off as La Nina decided it wants to return for another year. So I think that's what brought in the dry conditions that we've seen since July 30th.
Tony, mid-October is the time we start I know you guys do on the forecasting side, start looking down the road to winter. MoDOT just did their statewide drill yesterday. What are we talking about for winter, especially mid-Missouri and Springfield, on the way of cold and snow totals?
Well, I think for mid-Missouri, we're going to see colder than normal conditions, and that's because we're setting up basically for a repeat of last year. And that means also snowier conditions for both Springfield and Columbia. So I'm thinking about 15 to 20 inches total up here in the Columbia area, and closer to 10 to 15 down in the Springfield area. And I think that this will come in smaller events, kind of like it did last year. And so it's a good thing that our friends in the Department of Transportation were out practicing their snow runs. So.
Yeah.
Now, so Randy was mentioning to us that he has persimmons everywhere. Yes. So should he cut one open and see if there's a spoon in there? Is that how accurate is that?
Well, I'm not sure how accurate it is, but there does seem to be times when Mother Nature does give out these signs that things are going to be one way or the other. And, of course, if he cuts open one and the spoon is there, he should let me know, because that would...
Well, and Brian Hauswirth was pointing out, we had a brutal winter last winter. Mm-hmm. I mean, the folks on the show spent a lot of time in the hotel next door and traipsing across a snowy parking lot.
And they're praying it's not that bad this year, because, boy, did you guys tear up the place. It was unbelievable.
But you're saying we should expect about the same or worse?
No, I think about the same. It's looking like it's going to be a repeat. And if you remember how last winter played out, December was actually pretty mild, and it wasn't until January and February that we got the worst of it. And I think that's where we're heading this year.
Yeah. Well, full of good news, Tony Lupo. We'll call him Happy Pants Tony this morning. Hey, but there is some good news coming up on Tuesday, the chili supper. Chris Arps is going to host. And, Tony, we were just talking about Turning Point USA and how these events are really gathering such large crowds, larger than maybe they would have when Charlie was with us. I mean, it's amazing how he has just sprung into action, so many new chapters. And I know that you're going to have the Turning Point USA head here in Mizzou. Paige is going to be with you, right?
Yes.
Paige Schulte.
Paige Schulte is going to talk. And we also have a video from one of the Turning Point events. I think it was from the Charlie Kirk Memorial that we're going to have a video of that. And people should come on out if they want to see that. We'll have Vivek Malik speaking. Okay. We'll have Chris talking, and he might tell us a little bit about his trip to Israel during the summer and spring last year. So it should be a good event.
Should be fun. And that is at the Legion Hall, right, on Legion Lane there in Columbia?
Yep, American Legion Lane. The doors open at 5:30 for social, and the program will start at 6:30.
And that's October 21st on Tuesday evening. Doors open at 5:30. Tickets at the door. And can you get tickets beforehand for folks who want to, make that commitment early?
Yeah, I think you can still get them on off of our website, the Boone County Republicans website. Okay. And it's, I think they're going to be 25 online, but 30 at the door. So.
Oh, okay.
So if you can get them online, that would be the better deal.
Sounds great. Hey, well, we thank you for your expertise as always, and we may not like all of the news, but at least it'll help us prepare for that. I was going to try to make it through another winter with my truck with my tires that probably have about, I don't know, maybe a little less than a quarter of an inch of tread. Maybe I should go out and buy some new ones.
Yeah, I would suggest you get those. Get those updated so that you're not slipping and sliding. Again, I think that's where we're heading this year.
Okay.
Is a repeat.
All right. That's Tony Lupo, author of Hot Talk, Cold Science, a great book on getting the real accurate and, evidence-based information about this whole global warming, climate change, what are we calling it next year, debate. And, Tony, we thank you for being with us. By the way, that book gets great ratings on Amazon. It's a great read. So thanks very much, brother. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Randy. Have a great day.
All right. You too. There he is. Tony Lupo. Well, darn it, I was hoping we were going to have something sort of mildish this winter, but not so. It was brutal. You're right. I mean, there were, I remember that.
Poor Drake, I think it was like his first day on the job, and he spent the whole weekend in the hotel.
Yeah, it was really close to whenever I started here on Wake Up Missouri, and I was spending time in the hotel. It was It was something. That's what it was.
We had fun. We packed board games and kept ourselves entertained. But yeah,
Trial by fire, Drake. That's what it is.
My kids will be excited. They loved all the snow last year. And yeah, I mean, for the parents, I mean, it was brutal for everybody else. But I think we had 1 week. I don't think we went to school at all.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there were so many snow days.
Did you end up going over beyond the regular scheduled school year, or were there enough built-in snow days?
There were enough built in.
Barely.
I think we used the last one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I think we were real close.
All right. Well, I imagine area administrators want to know that information as they're planning that school year so that they don't have to sort of have a surprise at the end. It's like, oh, got to show up for another week. John, what's coming up when you come back?
The question, how many gummies can you eat in one sitting?
What kind of gummies is the other question there?
I have a good gummy story.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. Don't forget your winners and losers nominations at 8:35 on Wake Up Missouri, 573-874-9390.
It's Wake Up.
except for this.
Nathan Remington, a truck driver from Yorkshire, England, got a craving for gummies and went all in, ordering a 6.5-pound bag of Haribo Cola bottle gummies. Then Remington went all in and ate them, finishing off the bag in 3 evenings, all 10,461 calories. Couple days later, stomach cramps, terrible stomach cramps, sent him to the hospital, where he was promptly diagnosed with diverticulitis caused by the gelatin in the candies. After 6 days on IV fluids, he went home and hadn't touched a gummy since and said it was my own stupid fault. An ER doc weighed in, and this is socialized medicine weighing in, saying he was very lucky he didn't choose THC gummies, saying 3 kilos of those psychoactive ones probably would have killed him.
Wow.
So
that's a lot of gummies.
That's a lot of gummies.
They can be addictive, though. Those Haribo fish and the
6.5 pounds of
I know
gummies.
There's something about the chewiness of them. And
do you remember reading the reviews? Remember when they were using that fake sugar or whatever, and they had those gummies, and it was giving people like explosive diarrhea?
That's right.
It was really bad. If you haven't ever read the reviews on those, you should look that up. But we've gotten away from that. I have a funny gummy story. So, so set the scene. It's the youngest dedication at church, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to get everyone out of the house. Everyone has to look cute. I think I'm hosting a brunch. I'm like trying to cook, combing people's hair, whatever. And you got this tiny little baby, so she's the most important for the day, right? In true middle child fashion, not to be outdone, her older sister, we plop her in front of the TV, right? Like you're good. Like let's get all this other stuff done. And as we are rushing around, she's watching Little Einsteins, and then we look a little bit closer, and she has the brand new, like family size jar of vitamin gummies in the crook of her little chubby little arm, like popcorn, and is just, probably half of the bottle down. Right?
Oh man. Oh no! Now what do you do?
Well, first we call like our friend who's a pediatrician, and we're like, "Oh my gosh!" And luckily, this happens quite frequently, I guess. So whatever the bad vitamin is that you can't have too much of, is it
vitamin A
or like zinc or iron or something? Anyway, they took that out.
Iron.
So they took that out. Then we talked to the docs, and they're like, "Yeah, her stomach's gonna hurt, but she's gonna live."
Yeah.
So in the midst of all this chaos, we're calling, poison control, all this stuff. And yes, but then we have to go to church. And my poor dad, is there and is always giving the kids snacks. And he gives her one bite of a granola bar, and she upchucks.
Oh.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "We're going to talk about this later." Because I at that point, it still wasn't funny. I was just mad.
Right.
and
Oh, my
stressed.
goodness.
And she did. She didn't feel great. She kind of got some hives. And all turned out well, but
that's scary though.
Oh, it was. At the time it really was. And it was like a brand new bottle. I don't know how she got the lid off. It was a mess. So make sure those are out of the reach of your young folks.
I think we've told the story on our coworker down the hall on the country station that shall remain nameless, who promptly ate a gummy, not realizing it was a CBD. What is it? THC 8 active one, and didn't go well for him. He couldn't sleep, was bouncing off the walls, and his wife apparently was threatening to put him outside the house. He wouldn't shut up. But that works well for radio. I guess.
Right.
So
It sounds like
he
it worked
said
out
never
well.
again, and it was completely unbeknownst to him. He claims.
Talking about those gummies, apparently there's some changes maybe afoot in cannabis regulation.
Yeah, in Missouri, they're going to allow, I think, curbside pickup.
What, like Sonic dispensary? Someone come out in skates and give you your stuff at the curbside?
Exactly.
I think that's right.
Well, we made the analogy. It was sort of like how they let you vote curbside during COVID.
Yeah. Missouri marijuana dispensaries. Curbside pickup. Well, I've heard that it's sort of a different atmosphere. You have to sit there and, they call you in and check your, it's almost like going into a gun shop or something.
Well, they have, a lot of these places already have the drive-through and delivery services, but this would allow, just like, Chili's, order ahead, park your car, they bring it out to you, apparently.
Randy, it is not like a gun shop. It is harder to get CBD than it is to get a gun, in my opinion.
How would you know?
Yeah, you told. What is it? You have to go and sit there in like a waiting room or something?
Yeah, there's a waiting room with like a bouncer, and they only allow...
A bouncer?
Yeah. It's insane. And at gun shops, you can actually like hold the gun and like see it before you buy it.
Well,
No, everything's behind the counter or a glass box. You have to order on an iPad. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Huh.
Not saying that I would know. I heard a friend told me.
He did it for an investigative standpoint.
Absolutely.
Now this is a draft rule. Customers would pay for the products online. The pickup site would need the same video camera monitoring and recording the drive-through lanes have. So they have. So now you're being monitored by video. Does the state have access to that, or is that what?
That's a standard process
Yeah,
for
that's pretty
inside.
standard.
Yeah, for inside they
Why?
have big security because it's highly regulated. They want to make sure that you're following all the rules. I mean, think about like
The state wants to make sure they get all the taxes. That's what the
and think about
for.
other highly regulated industries like casinos. I mean, that's pretty standard when you're dealing with.
How's
these
the
types
black
of
market on that doing here? Because I know in Colorado the black market skyrocketed after they made it legal.
Well, according to the state revenues, John, I mean, we're beating Colorado in tax revenue from marijuana. So a lot of people are buying the regulated stuff
All right. Yeah, lots of money, lots of dough rolling in.
for veterans and other programs.
Interesting. All right. When we be back, have you heard about mushroom tourism? You will soon.
Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
Enacting a spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people.
The Zimmer News Team.
Can't drive a truck unless you can speak English.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Possible until we get the government operating again and we stop holding. I get very upset about that. We stop holding the American people hostage for these ridiculous political games. People see what's going on here. We should not have Border Patrol agents not paid right now because Chuck Schumer wants to pay political games to cover his tail. I don't know how much more simply to say that, and every single one of you know that's exactly what's going on. I don't like being Mad Mike. I want to be Happy Mike. I want to be the Happy Warrior, but I am so upset about this. God bless America. We're done. Thanks.
That was Mike Johnson. That's the first time I've seen the speaker get angry. I mean, you could tell he's about had enough of this in his daily briefing yesterday. I don't want to be Mad Mike. God bless America. And he just folds his folder there and walks away. It's day 17 and no end in sight. Last one was 35 days? The longest one, 35 days. Yeah.
And
so
there's no end in sight.
No end in sight. Meanwhile, the campaign season is rolling on. Debates last night for New York mayor. It looks like we're going to have a socialist mayor in New York. Glad to see them try to do that experiment so that all of America can witness the disaster that socialism will be. He wants to tax wealthy people 50+%. 50%. Can you imagine you're in the financial district in New York, you're a developer like a Trump kind of a guy, or I can think of a lot of the kind of $1 million in New York is not a whole lot compared to,
Yeah, I mean, I regularly talk to my friends over in Europe, and some of them have tax rates that get close to that. And I'm like, why do you work so hard? I mean, honestly, if I knew that 50% of my money was going to the government, I'm not working this hard.
Have you checked your aggregate tax burden, Stephanie? Even with Missouri's relatively low tax rate.
I mean, what tax bracket do you think I'm in?
No, but I'm just saying, think about it, right? I mean, if most the average listener's in a 20 to 25% tax bracket, let's say, right? Then you've got 12% withholding for Social Security. Then there's a 2% Medicare tax. Then there's your property tax. Then there's your then there's your real estate tax. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I bet a lot of people are paying 35, 40%. Easily. So this illusion that we're in a low tax environment in America, I don't think so. That's the thing. We've all been lulled into the thought that we're in a low tax environment. It just simply is not true. And to pay for, shrimps on treadmills domestically and transgender, art fairs in Botswana internationally. That's crazy. Some of that stuff, by the way, they want to reinstate in this, the Democrats in their proposal. They want to basically do with this hostage taking of the American people to a government shutdown what was done legislatively by the representatives of the people. They want to undo it here without any legislation, essentially, without the electoral legislation. Well, maybe instead of worrying about this and fretting, maybe we should go on a mushroom tourism tour. What do you think, Stephanie?
I think we should.
What kind of mushrooms?
John Marsh, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, we were just coming off the gummy story, so we thought we'd ask.
Yeah, so apparently mushroom tourism is all in vogue now, right, Steph?
It really is. It's a really
I saw
popular...
a thing on YouTube the other day about that. Some guy crawling around on his hands and knees looking for funny mushrooms in a forest in Sweden.
Well, there's apparently All Things Fungi Festival. That was over across the pond. I love There's nothing like a mushroom pizza with white sauce and stuff. I love that. Oh my God. There used to be a pizza place is there an Uno around? Are they still in business anymore? There was a chain called Uno's.
Emo or?
No, Uno's.
I don't know what Uno's is.
Pizzeria Uno. That was the deep dish place in Chicago.
Yeah, but there was another one that was sort of called Uno's, but
it's called mycotourism.
Mycotourism.
Or traveling to hunt mushrooms just as you would travel to spot rare birds.
I was walking on the farm on our little trail that we walk on about a month ago, maybe a little more than that. And all of a sudden, these beautiful, roughly yellowish mushrooms in clusters I was seeing all around. And I have a very good friend, lives up around the Edina area, who is a shroomer. And I snapped
I knew some shroomers in college. I
No,
think.
no. I mean, he's a mycologist. He's a mycologist. I mean, in a culinary kind of a way. So he's very, very good at that. You have to be very careful because there's a lot of different,
bad ones.
Well, and there's mushrooms that masquerade as safe mushrooms that aren't. So you have
there's
to
like some oyster mushrooms in Missouri that are kind of frilly and yellow, aren't they?
Yeah, and they grow on the tree, on the fallen tree stumps. They tend to be there. They look like little shelves, sticking out, little round shelves on top of one another. And then there's
at this fungi festival, apparently they have mushroom games, mushroom art, mushroom clothing.
Yeah,
it's the whole thing.
Well, I ran across chanterelle mushrooms, which are very, very tasty, very, very nice. But I'm always afraid if you pick the mushroom, are you ruining next year's crop? Probably not. Probably they probably already dropped their spores. People that
mushrooms have their mycelium that goes way underground.
That's true.
And all that. Yeah.
People
and the mushrooms are just the fruit.
They're just the fruit.
Plant.
They're just the fruiting body, sticks up above the ground. But they're good for you too. Mushrooms are good for your immune system. Although little hint here. Many of you listening may have some ringing in your ears, some tinnitus. It's a common problem. We hear a lot of that in the office. First of all, if you do, get your hearing checked because sometimes it's partially a reaction to just bad hearing.
And quit eating mushrooms.
Get your hearing right. Actually, portobello.
Decades of headphones.
Actually, if you reduce the glutamates in your diet, so monosodium glutamate, think of all the things that's in, right? Your Chinese food, soy sauce. If you drink the drinks that have hydrolyzed protein in them, always look at the ingredient list because it says hydrolyzed protein. That's often done with glutamates. And portobello mushrooms are rife with glutamates. So if that bothers you, you may want to take a look online. What's that website? Let me Google that for you.
Yes.
Is it let me Google that for you or let me Google that?
I think it's just let me Google that.
.com. Or just do your AI thing and search under that. But if you reduce your glutamic acid, your glutamate thing, glutamates are excitatory to neurons. They're called excitotoxins, and so they tend to get the neurons firing more. And, that tinnitus thing will drive people literally crazy. It's really a big problem. So,
mushrooms kind of freak me out, though. Have you ever seen those where they grow in a circle? It's called a fairy ring. You've never seen this? There was an outbreak in I think it was my neighbor's yard. Here, look, the pictures are online, but they naturally occur they're called a fairy circle or an elf ring.
Like a crop circle, except with mushrooms.
And it just randomly happens.
Really?
Yeah. You've never seen it?
I love
and then
mushrooms.
They're kind of hard to get rid of.
They're beautiful. They're just beautiful.
They kind of freak me out.
Really? Oh, they're good. They're good. Drake, you want to talk about mushrooms?
I joke as the pothead of the show, but I don't touch mushrooms.
I want to talk about this new polling we got on the midterms. Did you see that?
Yeah, we should talk about that. Yeah. I mean, mushrooms are fine and fungi tourism is fine, but there's some interesting midterms. These midterms are really critical because that's part of the reason Donald Trump's on a rapid track, right? He's doing things at the speed of Trump because there's no assurance that history won't repeat itself. And the midterms, then he doesn't have the majority. And
another bad trip, so to speak.
We're going to get a red wave, and then we get a red trickle, or nothing at all. No, so CNN was covering, has been watching and following the chance of winning the House in 2026. Mm-hmm. And in April, the Dems' chance of winning the House was 83%. And now it's sitting at just 63% just months later, a massive shift.
Well, we were looking at the Democrats with a very clear shot of taking control of the U.S. House of Representatives, according to the Kalshi prediction market odds. We saw them in an 83% chance. But those odds have gone plummeting down. Now we're talking about just a 63% chance, while the GOP's chances up like a rocket, up like gold, up from 17% to now a 37% chance.
Well, that's still 2-to-1 odds that the Dems take the House. Now, if the Supreme Court would get on the shtick and do a ruling and outlaw racial gerrymandering, and I think the mandates that that so many states are afraid of to do political gerrymandering, the whole map could be changed. And they're talking something like 12 or more seats could turn red if the Supreme Court basically does away with that Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah,
right?
no. Remember, the timing is a bit different there, so it might not. It might not affect 2026, but what will is this redistricting push, right? The current redistricting push. So as we see states continue to address their maps in the current cycle, that can affect 2026. So Missouri potentially picking up one seat.
Yeah.
Others, we've got, and you think, well, what's one seat? Well, one here and one there and one there. I mean, it could make the difference.
Well, we know that Gavin Newsom is going to engineer 5 Republican seats to go to
He's
the blue.
Going to try.
Okay. And to counter the Texas, which was about 5, right? But that means that still on balance with the other states, Ohio, we think North Carolina is going to be 1, Ohio's 1 or 2, Missouri 1 maybe, probably. And if that's allowed to stand, who knows? You could be talking 3 or 4 just from the mid-census redistricting. But then if they go back and do another mid-census redistricting because of this Voter Rights Act, that could change things. And at a minimum, you'd like to see that J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or whoever the pick is for on the GOP side for 28 would have a much better chance, So I don't know. We'll have to see on that. Hey, let's check in with the markets when we come back. They have been a little volatile, but we'll see if they're going to look up as we close the week today. And don't forget that coming up at 8:35, winners and losers of the week. Your turn to nominate those. We've already had a few coming in at 573-874-9390. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Close of the week coming up in the markets. What's it looking like, Stephanie?
We took a bit of a dive yesterday while the big banks, we got some good news on big banks earlier in the week. It is earnings season. We got some not so great news out of some regional banks yesterday. We saw the Dow go down 0.65%, S&P similarly at 0.63%, NASDAQ down 0.47%. So financials took a big hit, so did energy and utilities. But it is a feel-good Friday, so I want to give you something to feel good about, and that is for the women listeners and those men with women in their life who might be entering their menopausal state.
Yeah.
The Wall Street Journal is reporting that more and more workplaces are now offering support for menopause-related symptoms. And they talked to a marketing firm called Bospar, and they started chatting amongst just the women on their team about the challenges that come with menopause. And after that, they launched a comprehensive menopause program that offers employees specialized care and flexible work hours to help them manage symptoms like fatigue. They also started a menopause-focused resource group that now has more than a dozen members, and they are not alone. And the data is pretty stark on this, Randy. The share of U.S. employers with 200 or more employees that offer menopause benefits, so it's an added benefit, jumped to 25% this year, up from 15% in 2023. And this is important because according to the Labor Department, women age 50 and older are among the fastest growing demographics in the workplace. The Mayo Clinic said that the estimated cost of missed work due to menopause-related symptoms is $1.8 billion annually in the U.S. And so it's kind of something that I think's flown under the radar, but that's real. Right, you treat patients.
I've seen them for
these symptoms
3 decades, and I think that we've underappreciated the impact on women's lives. Actually, starting before age 50, probably in their early 40s, many women start to experience early menopause transition, perimenopause transition, and then late perimenopause transition. That's when the brain fog, when the physical symptoms, when the sleeplessness, a lot of things can start to roll in. And I'm disappointed that there's not enough regular medical care in the regular doctor's offices, that they're having to do this through the workplace. I'm glad they are, but
Well, and it's not only catching the attention of employers as an added benefit, but also catching the attention of some state lawmakers. This year, Rhode Island became the first to mandate reasonable workplace accommodations for employees experiencing
So what does that
these
mean,
symptoms.
Then? So one of the
access to temperature-controlled workstations and flexibility for time off for doctor's appointments.
But how, can you wait a minute though? This could get problematic. I mean, if you're in a cubicle kind of environment, how are you going to have individual climate-controlled cubicles where the temperature in one
heaters and
can be
stuff like
65
that?
degrees and everyone else is at 72?
I definitely have a space heater. Yeah,
I mean,
you need like extra fans. I don't know.
Yeah, it's usually not.
You wonder if it's driven by people staying in the workforce a lot longer now, and people not, the boomers are not retiring.
Yeah, they said, a lot of these women are at the peak of their careers, and due to some of these struggles, some of them choose to opt out. And again, the data shows that they're the fastest growing part of the workforce.
And I've had patients that were really, really mistreated by the system that said you shouldn't take hormones. Women in positions where maybe they're trainers and they're speaking, or executives that are giving a presentation. It puts them at a disadvantage if in the middle of a presentation. By the way, stress is a trigger for a hot flash. So they're in this stressful situation. All of a sudden, they have a terrible drenching hot flash. They feel ill sometimes. And for years, we've told, patients, those hormones, they're bad for you. They're going to kill you. They're going to cause breast cancer. They're going to do this and that. Well, okay, that discussion was really verboten. Now, it's good that this is now being openly discussed. The other thing is places where folks can go, and women, if they're having a stressful moment with their job, go and chill out a little bit, and maybe you'll help reduce that incidence of a hot flash.
Yeah, Catherine Larkin of Vanguard, which is a financial services firm, says menopause affects well-being, productivity, and retention. So Vanguard offers menopause-related benefits such as webinars, workshops, and medical coverage for treatments. So more education, I think, is really important.
But putting on our political hat, do we really want it mandated? Or do we just want to highlight those companies that are doing it?
I think encouraging employers to do things on their own and providing them the flexibility to do that's probably the way to go.
I'm glad Stephanie said that, being of the female persuasion, because I think politically that's right. you could get into a real problem with everything mandating everything for everyone. When we come back, we're mandating some winners and losers. That time of the program on Wake Up Missouri when we ask for your nominations of winners and losers of the week. Let's start with John Marsh.
Well, I'm channeling Brian again. 3 winners, no losers.
Oh, okay.
Lincoln University of Jefferson City breaking records, have set enrollment records that are the best in over 30 years, and the average GPA at the college, now just over 3.0. Columbia College launched their initiative to support military students during the federal shutdown, which they say they will temporarily cover tuition assistance for all their affected military students.
Yes, sir.
And not to leave out old Mizzou, running back Ahmad Hardy recognized as a midseason All-American by 3 different media outlets, including the Sporting News.
Wow.
He currently leads the SEC in 782 rushing yards and 9 rushing TDs.
Man, that's significant, huh?
You betcha.
Well, tomorrow will be a real test of this would-be Heisman nominee. We'll have to see, have to see what happens how he takes it to Auburn. I think he's going to be his performance is going to be critical to that game. No doubt about it.
It's going to be a good game.
Yeah. Stephanie, what do you have?
Well, I have one loser, and that is Kamala Harris.
That is a decent resume, but go ahead. Well, some people have actually said I was the most qualified candidate ever to run for president.
Who should have just had her? Didn't we just talk about some mushrooms? What kind of mushrooms was she taking part in?
Most qualified candidate to ever run. I mean, what kind of there's a derangement syndrome there. I'm not sure what we call that, but yikes.
Wow. Little narcissism there, huh?
All right. Crazy. I do have some winners, so she's my loser for the week. Amongst my winners, of course, President Trump. He is, I think, undisputably the peace president, despite some, other issues this week. I think if he can get this Russia-Ukraine thing sorted out, which they've got the meeting coming up in Hungary, even without that, I think it's undeniable that he has made some great strides. So I will give him winner of the week, as well as Billy Long and Missouri State University. They hosted a naming ceremony this week for the Billy Long Advanced Technology Suite. It's 12,000 square feet. It's going to support this expansion of the Roy Blunt Jordan Valley Innovation Center. I think at the time, Congressman Long secured funding, $2 million during his time in office. And so this expansion is going to help the school do additional technology programs and provide interdisciplinary educational experiences. So nice to see. I mean, we talk about, nothing going on in D.C., but I think he deserves a pat on the back for folks who go to D.C. and bring the bacon home, and we see the fruits of those efforts.
Yeah, it's good to see. I like that.
It would be reindeer bacon, though, probably from Iceland with Billy, right?
There you go.
I think we should give Texter Evan a winner of the week for his text when we were talking about extensions, when he said he got an extension. You were talking about hair extensions.
I was.
And he sent us a picture of a socket wrench extension. And he said, I got my extensions. They had DeWalt, a couple of extensions yesterday. That was good. Good text.
Very good.
I think Trump and Hegseth for paying the troops, finding the money to pay the troops, they're winners.
This time.
For sure.
What happens next pay period?
And I want to shout out the Ava Animal Clinic, the Animal Clinic of Ava. Apparently, the Animal Clinic in Springfield has new life. Apparently, that animal clinic was shut down. Their veterinarians left the main animal clinic in Springfield, but the Animal Clinic of Ava has come to the rescue, and Dr. Mike Peters and his team of vets will rotate through Rescue One. It's called the Rescue One Animal Clinic. And so it sounds like that's the clinic to take care of those homeless animals. And the clinic's current vet is leaving her position. And Rescue One reached out to Springfield and the Animal Clinic of Ava, Dr. Peters and his crew. So good for you guys. Thanks for doing that. Little help there for the rescued dogs. And I'm sorry, they're massive, hope they burn in hell losers are the Hamas, who are not living up to their bargain and who are executing their own citizens. There's not a bigger loser on the planet than that group of people. Drake, what do you got?
You know what we should do to those losers in Hamas?
What?
Randy? It starts with an N and ends with E. It's a 4-letter word. This is a little game for you. What do you think
and
we should do?
And it has something to do with mushrooms and clouds?
Yes.
Yes, thank
Perfect.
you. Problem is there'd be too much collateral damage with the innocent civilians around them, right? That's the tough part there.
You wager your options.
I don't know. I just it's just those people are despicable. They're just despicable.
I am genuinely wondering, when is Trump going to call it quits with a negotiation and just bomb the crap out of them?
I don't think he's going to have to do that. I think if the rest of those, I think there's some 19 corpses that are still need to be returned, 2 of whom are American. And if they don't get back, and if Hamas breaks their agreement to stand down and to disarm, that was part of the agreement, was to discuss that. They're now saying they're not even going to discuss it. I really think that I don't know. I think that should probably that's going to authorize, and I don't think Trump's going to get in the way. That's going to the IDF will move back in. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I just think that Trump should send them to hell quicker than natural causes, if you know what I mean.
It's just unbelievable.
I have 2 winners and a loser, and I'm going to start with the loser. This is more of a future thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Denver Broncos are going to be this week's loser.
Good.
On Sunday, I think I get too much rap as being a Chiefs hater.
Yes, well, you just, but come on, you're out there wearing that proudly.
Yeah, I do. But, I think we can all hate on the Broncos and the Raiders. And the Broncos are playing the Giants, so they will lose. And in the most embarrassing fashion this weekend. I'm calling it. It's going to be like 1,000,000-0. My 2 winners, one is Ukraine and Zelensky. I mean, have you seen 6, maybe 9 months ago now? He was sitting there, disrespecting Trump, and everyone thought that, we were going to stop supporting him completely. And now he's getting Tomahawk missiles to fight Russia. So I kind of like that. And my other winner, Randy, do you know what next month is?
I don't know.
It is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month.
All right.
Do you know what people are doing?
Very important. What are they doing?
They're growing out their facial hair.
Well, it also coincides with hunting season. A lot of guys do that there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So are you going to grow out a beard?
No. Not going to do it.
You're not going to grow out a beard? Okay, Randy.
I don't have the time to take care of business and just whatever grooming is necessary for life now.
I will do it with you.
No, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to.
He doesn't want to. Maybe we could get some hair extensions, Stephanie.
My natural youthful look would get aged if I had a beard. I don't, youthfully I look.
No comment. But those are my winners and losers.
No, I'm just not gonna. I don't have the time to groom, and you have to groom a beard, right? I don't have time for that. No, don't have time. But we do a lot of work with prostate cancer and prevention and diagnosis, and then referring on and stuff. So I don't.
Do you do that pro bono, Randy? The prostate exams.
We're just going to get you some of those Kim Kardashian thongs, and you can strap it to your face.
There you go. That's what I'll do.
Wow. Family show, folks.
Actually, for you guys out there, this is probably a little TMI, but actually, it used to be really commonplace and expectation that guys would have, starting at age 50-ish, annual exams. I mean, put on the glove exams. That's now not really considered necessary. It's not really anything. So maybe, guys, if you haven't gone to the doctor because you didn't really want to submit to that exam, but there's other things that happen during an annual exam, like talking about your cardiovascular health and your prostate health, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go to the doc and, get that exam. So maybe if that's been warding you off, make an appointment. James says, it sounds to me like Randy can't grow a beard. Of course I can. I just don't want to do it. So last time I checked, I'm an independent, free American. I don't know. Yeah. John, you going to extend your mustache into a beard?
Well, I'd love to, but we're scheduled for an updated photo shoot for the website here in the short term. So obviously, we have to look the part. So
yeah, there you go. I have to tell you, I don't know, the times when I go 3 or 4 days unshaven, I do not feel good. It's like oversleeping and being in your pajamas. I just don't feel good.
Itchy.
I just, it doesn't feel good to me. So I don't want to do it, Sorry, Drake. You going to grow one?
Probably not.
Oh, look at this.
Because he can't.
Look at this, calling me out on it. You're not going to
No, I own up to it. I can't grow a beard. I tried to grow a mustache like a year ago. It did not work. It looked...
Yeah. Well, someday you'll go through puberty.
I will also refrain from growing a beard.
Stephanie should grow a beard. Let's start the Stephanie grow a beard movement.
Just harken right back to the Kardashian panties.
Okay,
you just use those, right?
Oh man! All right, hey, this has been a lot of fun. Wait a minute now.
Too much fun.
James says, "I think a beard adds 50 pounds to your bench press."
Randy just needs that hair back. That guy looks like he can bench press some stuff.
Maybe, but look at Ted Cruz. Do you think Ted Cruz looks better with a beard than without? I don't think he does. I don't think he looks as authoritative and. No?
I mean, I don't think he looked good before. So I guess, I don't think it's helping him at all.
I just don't think he
doesn't
have the same gravitas. Now, some guys gain gravitas with a beard.
Yeah. Like a neat, trimmed, nice
it's got to be really sharply trimmed.
Not like the ones, they do that beard competition at our friend Casey and Q's man show.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you've got a rockin' beard, you got to get to the man show.
Some guys really look good at it.
Win the competition.
But I think if you're an older guy and you have a gray beard, I think it makes you look older with the beard than without it. That's just my opinion.
You can dye it.
Well, look at the vice president. His look with the beard.
And he's like the first vice president with a beard in how many years? You remember all that talk?
Civil War or something.
But I don't know. I think that's right.
But Eric Schmidt with a beard, I don't.
No,
I
picture
don't.
that.
Or Josh Hawley with a beard.
Bob Iger with a beard.
Donald Trump with a beard.
Oh my gosh.
No, not going to
Well,
happen.
at least then we wouldn't have seen all his neck, on the. Remember the cover of Time magazine?
Trump, yeah.
The beard would have helped cover up some of the neck wrinkles, I think.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have to just do a spray-on beard, Drake, for our prostate
that.
celebration. Yeah. We'll come back and wrap it up with leftovers. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up.
Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. Former National Security Advisor and UN Ambassador John Bolton has shown up for his initial court appearance on federal charges that he mishandled classified information. He was indicted yesterday on 18 counts, roughly half and half of retaining information and then sharing this information inappropriately. So we'll have to see how that all works out. I always enjoyed John Bolton's stance on America first and, don't trust anyone around the globe. I like that sort of hardline stance that he had earlier on in his career. I don't know what happened along the line. And maybe he still has that stance. He just was a little casual with things. He made statements earlier that he didn't think people should be, especially in leadership position and that has anything to do with the intel community, should be casual with their stuff. Well, as you reported, Stephanie, he had it on his AOL account, right? Mm-hmm. Email account, allegedly.
That then was apparently hacked after he left government service by foreign actors.
His digital diary.
Maybe the Iranians, they think.
Right.
And his digital diary had accounts of, locations, and I don't know if there were names, but of some of our intel projects. So he could be, he was indicted under elements of the Espionage Act, and he could land in jail for decades, theoretically, right?
Theoretically.
You don't think it's going to happen?
We'll see.
All right. I like the way I get all uptight about this. It's all exciting. Man, decades. Yeah, well, not so much. Maybe not. By the time it all washes out, and the appeals are over, who knows?
The former president didn't end up in prison over it, so stay tuned, huh?
Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right.
Or the current president.
What do you have on the leftover list?
Well, Tony Lupo kind of alluded to it, but it was 84 degrees yesterday, so why were the roads clogged with snowplows? MoDOT doing their annual winter drill. They put the numbers out to us yesterday and said last year they spent $60 million on plowing snow and used over 160,000 tons of salt.
Oh, wow.
So it was a fun winter.
Oh, hey, we have a winner that came through in the text line. Who was it? Was it Dwayne, Chris? I'm sorry, one of you guys. Thank you for doing this. And a shout out to Paige Schulte. We were talking about Turning Point USA and how we hope to have an event here. Wouldn't it be nice if either in Columbia or Jefferson City or wherever, maybe down Springfield, maybe they'll do something at Missouri State. And Paige apparently spoke at the Cooper County GOP, the Republican meeting there. And brought the house down. Standing ovation. So hats off. She's a winner for that. She'll be at Tuesday's GOP, the Boone County Republicans chili supper.
Yep, she is awesome, and we've had her on the show, and I hope to have her back soon. On my leftover plate, we talked a little bit about the prediction markets earlier with respect to the midterms and how Democrats are less likely than they were in April to take control of the House, according to the prediction markets. The other one I'm watching is, who's going to be running for president, and J.D. Vance is right now way in the lead in the prediction markets for the next president, but someone who might not be on your list. Apparently, Megyn Kelly said she would run for president potentially if AOC decides to run. She says, if she runs for president, I might run. I'll find my way into the ticket somehow. There's no way this person can run for president or be president. No.
She's got a lot of maturing to do before she runs for president.
AOC does.
AOC, not Megyn. Now, Megyn, you shared that you think Megyn has hair extensions. You're sure she does?
I'm pretty sure. She talked on the All In podcast last week about all of her med spa treatments.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Man, she's skinny to the point of almost too skinny.
She does that. You know what I'm talking. The fiber diet.
Oh.
What's that one called? You know what I'm talking about.
Lots of gummies?
No. She talks about it in her book and how it totally the F Factor diet by Tanya Zuckerbrot.
Yeah. Well, fiber's good.
Eats a lot of fiber.
Yeah.
And she
yeah. Well, she'll never have any predators. No kooks that go after with that much fiber. It's true. If you eat a lot, people don't eat enough fiber. We don't get enough fiber in our diet. That's part of the reason we're hungry. Eat fiber more than
it's Feel Good Friday, not Fiber Friday, Randy.
Yeah. Okay. You're the one that brought up the fiber, not me.
Well, you said she's skinny, and I think,
that's good.
But she's following a healthy diet.
Not Ozempic?
Not that I know of. Not that she's admitted to.
All right. Hey, have a great weekend. Enjoy the Chiefs and the Tigers. MIZ.
ZOU.
See you Monday.
Bye.